Good evening. I would like to call this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. Welcome to the September 9th, 2024 City of Burlingame Planning Commission meeting. For all in attendance today, please note that this Planning Commission meeting is being held in person and using the Zoom webinar format. Please note that we are not accepting remote public comment during commission meetings. We ask that the public either attend the meetings in person to comment or send an email to publiccomment@burlingame.org. Staff will be monitoring emails submitted during the meeting, which will be read at the appropriate time. Agenda item number 2, roll call. The record should note that 6 members of the commission are present this evening. Commissioner Schmidt is absent. Agenda item number 3, request for AB 2249 remote participation. There are no commissioners participating remotely this evening. Agenda item number 4, approval of the minute. We have meeting minutes to review and approve from August 26, 2024 regular planning commission meeting. Do we have any comments, changes, discussion, or motions?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of August 26, 2024.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Camarado, seconded by Commissioner Pfaff. Any discussion? Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Camarado,
Aye.
Commissioner Pfaff,
Aye.
Commissioner Shores,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Haran. Aye. Chair Lowenthal.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0-0-1. Agenda item number 5, approval of the agenda. Staff, do we have any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes.
Any recusals this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on. Agenda item number 6, public comments non-agenda. Members of the public may speak about any item not on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to suggest an item for future Planning Commission agenda may do so during the public comment period. The Ralph Brown Act, the state local agency open meeting law, prohibits the Planning Commission from acting on any matter that is not on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to speak on any item that is not on our agenda? We do have Mr. Forbes. Yeah, come on up to the podium. And you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Jim Forbes, and I basically own a piece of property here in Burlingame in the Coyote Point area. It's an industrial property built in 1968, and it consists of about 15 small units of 1,300 feet. And about 4 years ago or 3 years ago, the zoning was changed to bayfront commercial. And the emphasis being on office or on R&D. And then it sounds like some commercial retail type things that might take advantage of the bay or maybe take advantage of those offices if they were there. This thing is killing me. My building is not designed for that, nor are any of the buildings. I think there's about 10 of them in this little pocket that seem to have just gotten caught up in this bayfront commercial, which was mostly just vacant land before. And as I understand the law or the rules, in order for me to maintain industrial use, which is the very best use for the building, they're little warehouses with a small office, roll-up door. I need to continue. They would get grandfathered in if I continue with the same use. And because the economy is slower and because a lot of the other buildings are not getting demolished to build more office, that was like my steady feed of tenants were those who are getting kicked out of other buildings in Burlingame or nearby. So that's not happening. And so I'm starting to accumulate vacancies. I have, I think, 5 now. And one of them is approaching 6 months of vacancy. And I was told by Amelia, who's been very nice to me, but that I would need to ask for another 6 months in order to maintain my industrial use. I'm not inclined at all to take a risk of trying to do an office or trying to do a commercial because chances are, if there was any demand, and I haven't seen any demand of that actually ever in the 20 years I've owned the property, but I would lose this industrial zoning, and that is what the building is built for. And so I'm asking for some help, like maybe just, on the other side of, I don't know what you guys would demark, maybe ANZA, it's called innovative industrial or something like that. And there's an industrial piece so that the buildings there can continue to do light industrial. There's like no safety net for me in this area. It's either office, R&D or these retail uses. And so I'm really hoping you guys can help me, or maybe, it's the council that does it, but, I was told by my agent, there's a 6-year supply of vacancy for the life science, which is maybe what was wanted. I don't know. I mean, office, it came and it went, COVID creamed it, right? And so, I don't know, maybe 10 years, 20 years, it'll come back. But right now, there's no demand for this property at all, other than, and not even so much, I see my time is up, not even so much light industrial, but I had a local resident here who just wanted to store his stuff there for a year. I told him I can't do that because it's going to screw up my zone. So that's my pitch.
Thank you very much for your comments. They've now been logged in the record and
Okay.
they could become a future agenda item.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other members of the public non-agenda items this evening? Did we receive any emails?
There were no public comment emails.
Agenda item number 7, study items. We do not have any study items this evening. Agenda item number 8, consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar are considered to be routine. They're acted on simultaneously unless separate discussion and/or action is requested by the applicant, a member of the public or commissioner prior to the time of the commission votes on the motion to adopt. This evening, we have one item on the consent calendar. Item 8A, adoption of a resolution for general plan consistency for properties at 849, 863 Mitten Road, and 866 Malcolm Road and adjacent parking lots. Would any members of the public or planning commission like to pull this item for discussion? Commissioner Pfaff?
Sure. I don't know. I don't really want to pull it. I just want a clarification if that's okay.
Sure, let's ask the question, then we can see. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, they'll stop me. So isn't this, because we've received a letter from someone, I just want to know, is this a similar issue to the one the speaker has spoken about just a minute ago?
No, this is totally different. This is just confirming that the general plan is allowing the uses that they want to intend to use the buildings for. They have to go through this process when an agency is purchasing property.
So it has to do just with the agency purchasing a property.
Correct.
Period.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
And
Through motions?
there were no public comment,
Pulled it?
no public comment emails received.
Okay. And we do need to do a motion for it. correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, and we,
Motion,
sorry, Chair, just to make sure, did we ask if anyone from the public wanted to pull the
I
item?
did not. Does anybody from the public like to pull this item for discussion? No, I see none. And do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Herrera, seconded by Commissioner Camarado. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Camarado,
Aye.
Commissioner Pfaff,
Aye.
Commissioner Shores,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Haran,
Aye.
Chair Lowenthal.
Aye. Motion passes 6001. All right, agenda item number 9, regular action items. 2 items on the agenda. First, item 9A, 615 Trenton Way. If you are the applicant and are attending the meeting via Zoom, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project? Okay, seeing none, let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we hear the staff report, please?
Yes, the subject property is an interior lot that contains an existing one-story, single-unit dwelling with an attached one-car garage. The applicant is proposing to demolish all structures on the site and build a new 2-story, single-unit dwelling with an attached one-car garage. The new attached one-car garage provides a required covered parking for the 4-bedroom house. Staff would note a special permit for an attached garage is not required in this case because the existing attached garage is being replaced. As part of this project, there are 3 new 24-inch box-sized landscape trees proposed throughout the site, and the project complies with the tree reforestation ordinance requirement. This project came before the Planning Commission as a study item at their August 26, 2024 meeting. The applicant submitted a response letter dated August 28, 2024, and revised plans with the same date to address the Planning Commission comments and suggestions. There are 14 conditions of approval listed in the staff report for the Commission's consideration. I believe the applicant is present, maybe via Zoom, to answer questions, and I can take questions of staff at this time.
Thank you very much. Any questions for staff? No? Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward, state your name and anything else you'd like to add about your project?
Good evening. I'm Gary Diebel, an architect at Diebel & Company. Glad to join you tonight. During the study session 2 weeks ago, 3 issues were discussed. We worked with your comments and made corresponding refinements to the drawings. First is we added an overhang above the front garage door to enhance the wall and refine the overall composition. Second, we widened the back left corner window with a double casement instead of a single one that was in the original plans. And third, we added a note to the landscape plans specifying a gravel binder to maintain the gravel adjacent to the driveway. That's the points that were covered. Thanks for listening, and I'm happy to address any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for the applicant?
I do.
Commissioner Pfaff?
Yes, regarding the overhang on the garage, how was it that you came upon, because the garage is one of the few symmetrical structures on the project. How was it that you came upon the placement of the overhang for this section? I should say the asymmetrical placement.
Well, it's similar to other windows on the house that have a overhang similar to that, and they do have that type of look to them, that they're asymmetrical. It also has a practical reason, just for drainage of those roofs or the soffits, so it can drain to the side and then down to an area where the water can collect and drain away from the structure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions?
No questions, but I want to thank you. You did a great job on this. So thank you. Hard work on it.
Thank you.
Okay. No, we don't have any other questions for the applicant. I'm going to ask, do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to speak on this item, or did we receive any public comment emails?
We do have one public comment email from September 6, 2024. I am Yogesh Jogia, and we, Yogesh Jogia and John Hakeem Jogia, are the owners of the property 609 Trenton Way, Burlingame, adjacent to the planned project at 615 Trenton Way. We have reviewed the proposed drawings and are in support of this new home being built. The proposed design is consistent with the neighborhood aesthetic and would be an elegant addition to Trenton Way. Having lived in Burlingame for 37 plus years, we have witnessed many, many ranch homes replaced by huge multiple-story homes on 5,000 plus square foot lots, including a few on Trenton Way, which has spoiled the character of the neighborhood. In our opinion, it is very commendable that Mr. Fahim Binath and family made great effort to take the neighbors' consensus and has kept the design consistent with other smaller homes on Trenton Way. Kudos to him. We wish the Dynath family all the best in completing their project. Please let us know if you need any additional feedback. Sincerely, Yogesh Jogia.
Okay. Any other members of the public wish to speak on the item? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, any comments or motions?
I think it looks great. It looked great before. I think the addition from the comments last meeting, the overhang on the garage, I think is an enhancement. It looks great. So I'm definitely in support of this.
I really like the changes that they've made. Very simple, but I think it's kind of works together. So I also could approve this project.
Yeah, I agree. These are nice fine tuning to the already a really nice design to the house. If there are no further comments, I move that we approve this project for the conditions of the staff report.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Say, seconded by Commissioner Horan. Do we have any other discussion on the motion? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Camerado,
Aye.
Commissioner Foff,
Aye.
Commissioner Shores,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Haran,
Aye.
and Chair Lowenthal.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0-0-1. Congratulations. Any action by the Planning Commission is appealable to the City Council within 10 days of the Planning Commission's action. If the Planning Commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the City Council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day, the action becomes final. In order to be effective, appeals must be in writing and must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $900, which includes noticing costs. Next up on the agenda is agenda item 9B, 1476 Drake Avenue. If you are the applicant and are attending the meeting via Zoom, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding the project? Okay, seeing none, no recusals, let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we hear the staff report, please?
The subject property is a corner lot that contains an existing two-story single-unit dwelling and a detached garage at the rear of the lot. The applicant is proposing to replace an existing second-story uncovered balcony at the rear of the house that's 114 square feet. It'll be replaced with a second-story addition and a new smaller uncovered balcony that is 69 square feet. The proposed second-story addition and second-story balcony are exempt from design review because the new net area is less than 100 square feet in area. The applicant is requesting a special permit for the proposed 69 square foot second-story uncovered balcony at the rear of the house, where a special permit is required for any second-story balcony and the maximum square footage allowed is 75 square feet. Staff would note that this application was brought directly to the Planning Commission as a regular action item, since the project is not substantial and only includes a request for a special permit. However, if the commission feels there's a need for more discussion, this item may be placed on a future action calendar for a second review or public hearing with direction to the applicant. There are suggested findings for the special permit included in the staff report, along with 7 conditions of approval for consideration by the Planning Commission. That concludes the staff report, and I can take questions of staff if there are any.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for staff? Seeing none, okay. I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward, state your name and anything else you would like to add about your project?
Hello, my name is Eric. I'm a designer of this project. For me, I don't have anything to edit. Everything shows as what we proposed.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for the applicant?
Could you describe the overall scope of the exterior? So you're replacing windows. What else are you
Yes.
doing from a
So
scope?
basically, we did an addition in the backyard only, which including the I don't know, like a main level, which is a balcony, and lower level will be a new ADU. Then for the main house, we did an interior model. We demo some walls, makes interior bigger and nicer, and we replace some windows. That's it. So everything you can now see from the public street, everything is in the backyard.
Thanks.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay. Do we have any members of the public attending in person who would wish to speak on this item? Or did we receive any public comment emails?
No public comment emails?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, any comments or motions? Commissioner Duff.
I appreciate, it was very well done. I think well done. Modest, everything's hidden. And I think it's a beautiful job. I'm very happy how much that they're retaining of the old home. It's a pretty modest project, and I'd be happy to see this move along.
Any other comments? Well, do you want a motion then?
Sure,
I think we agree.
I make a motion to approve 1476 Drake Avenue as presented.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Pfaff, seconded by Commissioner Say. Any discussion? No? May we please have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Camerado,
Aye.
Commissioner Pfaff,
Aye.
Commissioner Shores,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Haran,
Aye.
and Chair Lowenthal.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0-0-1. An action by the Planning Commission is appealable to the City Council within 10 days of the Planning Commission's action. Planning Commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the City Council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day, the action becomes final. In order to be effective, appeals must be in writing and must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $900, which includes noticing costs. Congratulations. Okay, that concludes agenda item number 9, regular action. Moving on to agenda item number 10, design review study items. Item 10A, 19 El Juanito Way. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communication regarding this project? Seeing none, let the record note that all commissioners have visited the project site. Can we hear a staff report, please?
Yes, the subject property is an interior lot that contains an existing two-story single-unit dwelling, attached garage. The lot slopes downward approximately 10 feet from the left side of the property to the right side. And the rear half of the lot has a steep slope that descends approximately 20 feet to the rear property line. On the ground level, the applicant is proposing to convert 221 square feet of existing crawl space into living area. At the main level, half of the existing front covered porch will be enclosed to accommodate a new stairway, and a new second story is proposed above the portion of the house that is single story. 3 parking spaces, 2 of which must be covered, are required on site, and 2 covered parking spaces are provided in the existing attached garage. The subject property is located within the Hillside Overlay Zone, and a hillside development shall be designed to preserve existing distant views. The site contains a total of 23 existing trees. There are no trees proposed to be removed for this project, and the existing trees meet the tree ordinance requirement. The applicant is requesting design review and hillside area construction permit. The criteria and required findings for both application requests are listed for reference in the staff report. I can take questions of the commission if they have any.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for staff?
I only have a quick question, and maybe you don't know it. Was the home that's there now, is that, as far as you know, was that the as-built home, or has it been altered once or more?
I don't know that. Maybe the applicant or the owners can answer that question.
Any other questions for staff? No? Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing. The applicant, please come forward and state your name and anything else you'd like to add about your project.
Good evening, Commission. Tim Berdeenz, project designer. To answer your question, Jennifer, the house was pretty much original. There's minimal changes that have happened over the last 30 years. So
Thank you.
it's pretty original. I'll just keep this short and sweet. In meeting with the owners, we always kind of go through design requirements. This is a special lot. There's a ton of very large oak trees. It's a hillside lot, very minimal flat area to build in. We didn't want to go down the slope to ruin the canyon view. We're trying to stay within a budget, so we did a modest centered second story, 8-foot plate height, which is now standard, very low pitched roof. Again, the property is pretty unique. We did send out neighborhood letters that we normally do before we come to the meeting. I believe we have one neighbor that is probably going to object. About a week or 2 ago, we're talking with Amelia. We also have I think you guys all have it, is a document from the owners and myself kind of explaining our design review. And then also showing you kind of the distant view and then a very, very, zoomed in view. In regards to this isn't just our problem. This would be all the surrounding neighbors. Would have to, would basically not have the right to build 2-story. So, trying to double check here. The centered massing that we did with the design works well. And the existing house is really laid out in the only position it could on that lot. So we're kind of working with the existing conditions. And then for the staff report, the whole hillside is remaining existing and natural, which is another kind of design hindrance. We really need to stay in the center of the existing house for our design. I'm here for any questions and hopefully I can answer them. And the owners are here as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Tim. Any questions for the applicant?
Quick question. Were you intending to install story poles?
We have a quote for them and we're waiting to have the go-ahead.
Commissioner Say?
Also another quick question. There seems to be a little bit of inconsistency on how the windows are cased from elevation to elevation and even from the rendering to the drawings.
Yep.
So just clarifying that.
We can fix that up.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Camarado?
Tim, have you guys looked at so my husband grew up next door and
Okay.
had a big mudslide in high school. So are you guys, I'm sure that you're talking to Public Works and what needs to be done to that whole hillside going down to Canyon, right?
Correct. I did not know about the mudslide, but I will put that in my notes.
That was at 21 El Quinito,
21.
and that was probably in the 80s.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I had another quick question.
Commissioner Say?
Let's see, without really looking at your front setbacks, did you consider further expanding the front on the main floor?
We're very
front?
close to the setbacks. I mean, we looked at adding to the front and then also possibly going to the back, but there is boulders and a lot of oak trees in the back. It just would be cost imperative to push out towards, the lot does drop drastically at the rear. There's a bunch of pictures from the owners kind of showing that. I mean, we did look at other options. It's just to get the space, you almost have to go up.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Yeah, Commissioner.
Did you look at different roof, not options, but different shapes for the roof rather than a traditional gable? Did you look at more modern-ish and different?
Currently, we have looked at it. We wanted to get through the first meeting. I don't think modern is the way we want to go. That wasn't the inspiration. But, we need to work forward with, the neighbor and the commission, and we'll see if that's an option. It's not off the table. We talked about it. We're only doing a 412 pitch, so it's minimal. So we're keeping the second story as squat as possible. I mean, the existing house is just 8-foot plate height. It's a simple ranch house. So, we're only about 8 feet taller from the peak of the existing house. So it's not like we're adding a 16-foot wall on top of the peak. So the story poles will help, I would assume, and hopefully you guys can page through the document that we had sent about the views and make a decision. We can definitely look at the flat roof, but we don't really want to go that route, but if
But
need to.
necessarily flat, but
Yeah.
anyway, okay.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, do we have any members of the public attending in person who would like to speak on this item?
Thank you.
I think we got at least one. From Hamid, come on. Yeah, go ahead and approach the podium.
Something so I choose one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah, you can choose one or the other. Yeah. Or supplement. It's up to you.
How about I read
Okay.
and I sent photos.
Mhm.
Most important is that you have the photos. One.
Mhm.
We do. So, hello, dear Planning Commission. I'm the owner of a single-family home at 15 Elquinita Way. It's 2 houses over from the one being worked on. I'm writing to express grave concerns that we have with the planned addition of another floor at 19 Elquinita Way, 2 doors down the street from us. The proposed addition would eliminate protected water and bay views that we have from both our living room and our kitchen. Ad libbing from the versus the email, the street is kind of flat and then it dives down, and our house is the one right at the bend, so that it's always had that view because the houses further down the streets are lower, so we can actually see the bay from there. And I included the pictures. These are our favorite views, and they are integral to quality family time, specifically morning coffee, breakfast in the kitchen. We kind of see the water, we see the trees. I called Angelique, the 19 Elquinita homeowner, on August 21st. As soon as we received the letter informing of this project, I asked that they consider other expansion options. She expressed that while some options may exist, they would be more cost prohibitive. I really sense no desire to modify the plans or to look at different expansion options. So I think that was kind of like the end of the conversation. So this is my one recourse here. Proposed expansion would be materials. I think it would also reduce our property value. When you're in our dining room, the entire wall is kind of glass. There's like a big window and then 2 narrow side windows there. So what would happen with this addition of the second floor, everybody would be like, why'd you put all these windows here to look at your neighbor's house? Like, you wouldn't do that. That's like an inviting view, bringing in light, nature, the bay, and so forth. So it just, that's something. To preserve any water views, I'd need a major remodel myself to build up. We have some plans for building some things inside and maybe pushing the house a little bit back or on the other side, but we didn't think of adding a second floor. That's very cost prohibitive, but actually it's even impractical, because what it would do is we're getting a little bit older. I'm 56 years old. My wife is as well. And this is where we kind of have been for 20 plus years. If we were to build up now, the nice thing as you get older with these homes is you got everything on the one level, and then you can go down for additional stuff. So it's a dramatic change. Like, yes, we could go build up, but it's a very big change to quality of life reality. And then last thing that I didn't really put in the note here, that I wrote in, is actually relates to the home 2 ago that was reviewed, where somebody from the public, the neighbors, wrote in and they said, really glad that they didn't build this monstrosity on our lot, because the neighbor used to have a field. Our neighborhood has a field where all the homes are actually consistent, one street level and then going down. And I think this would be the first home that actually is a 3 level. And I worry that there would be like a street warfare. Well, you're going to go up, I'm going to go up. And then now we block the canyon views for Adam and Stacy, our neighbor across the street. So that's what I worry about as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other members of the public attending in person who wish to speak? Yeah, please go ahead and approach.
Hi, my name is Angelique. I'm the owner of 19 Elquinita Way. Just wanted to express our excitement about the project. We would like to expand our home because currently we are really tight. My husband works from home remotely next to the washing machine, so that would be really a great addition for us. I would like to emphasize that we actually explored other options, even an ADU, and the problem is that in the backyard, we actually have an easement, so the city needs access, I think, for sewage. So the backyard is not even an option, and obviously we have the hill and it's overlooking canyon, so this is not possible. And you mentioned the front, again, that would not give us really much to play with. We love the design that Tim did because it's actually not overpowering and very considerate of what the neighborhood looks like. You mentioned something modern. I would really hate to do that to the street because we have nothing modern on our street, and I think that would look really like an eyesore. So we really like kind of this look of like the roof. One comment in terms of my neighbor, we really didn't suspect that this would be an issue in terms of the view. Most people on the street, actually, the main view on our street is really overlooking Canyon. And their house actually has huge bay windows overlooking that view. And this is an area where nobody would be ever able to build. And we actually love that view very much. The view that my neighbor is mentioning is really on the side of their house, is very recessed. So we didn't suspect that this would even be an issue. And also the view that they have is very much dependent on the trees that are growing. So actually our oak tree has been trimmed, and if it grows more, they would actually lose that view. So I think it's really something to consider. Other than that, thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other members of the public like to speak on this item? Do we receive any emails?
We did not.
Okay. Then I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, comments or motions?
So I think before we kind of move forward is just get the story polls up, because I think the story polls are going to just give us what we need so that we can move on with the project one way or the other.
What's your say?
Yeah, I ditto that comment. I think the story polls are needed. I actually did try to reach out to the homeowner today at 15 El Conito, but was unsuccessful. Now
And
I was not successful in reaching him, but while I was there, I did walk around a little bit towards the side of the house, towards the view. And though I wasn't at the level of the kitchen and the dining room, I think he said, I can see at least at street level or at grade, there would be some view blockage with that second story addition over the house. So I would like to see story poles, maybe by the time you get to the height of the dining room and kitchen, maybe that clears that second story roof. But until those story poles are up, it's really hard to see. So anyway, sorry, I think we have to wait. We're in our comment period. I'd like to see that. Also, just from a like design perspective, I mean, I can understand that there's some limitations on where to build. I do see that there is some space in the front to expand, as well as maybe some space out beyond the living room. There is a 10-foot change in ridge height, from the top of the current ridge to the new proposed ridge. That's pretty considerable. And we can really see that on the side elevations, that it looks somewhat blocky, if you will, from a neighbor's perspective. And I know Tim's a great designer. I'm sure the floor plan's working very nicely for the applicant. That I feel somewhat that the massing of this central structure feels fairly flat too in relationship to all the other homes on the street, which are more ranch-like. They're low-lying, sprawling type arrangements. And it seems like this addition, if you will, if it goes forward, wants to be a little bit more low-lying, somehow breaking up that central portion between the first and second story to make it feel a little bit more so. So that's just kind of a comment on the design. And also kind of curious, I should have asked Tim that why there are no windows on the right-hand side of the second story facing the bay. Because now I would think that they would actually have a nice bay view from that second floor. And I don't see any, there's a little bit of corner windows, but surprised that there aren't more windows facing that. in that direction, letting in some more light and view. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, also, the whole story polls and view thing aside, had I just gotten this, just as is no letters and no view issues, I don't think that the the design is pretty traditional. The Craftsman or whatever, to me, it doesn't relate to the ranch style low slung. And when I said modern, I didn't mean flat. I meant some creative way to, I don't know, we see them slanted roofs slightly. It doesn't have to be really far out there, just a different way to organize that space. And, you know, it might even be in the same area. I completely understand the limitations when I walked up and down looked at it. It is kind of landlocked there. And I get that there are limitations, but even the little dormer on the side, I think the back is actually better designed than the front. To me, it doesn't hold together with the rest of it. It's almost like it's independent, like all by itself. And this is aside from the whole story polls and such. So I'm inclined to think that with my colleagues that if we just get an idea of what the story that the story polls tell us, maybe there's another, you know, another way to organize the space that perhaps hasn't been thought about. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Horan?
Yeah, I agree with my fellow commissioners. Whenever there's a hillside overlay, I read this just to make sure everyone's clear. It only applies to living rooms and family rooms. So it's not kitchens, not dining rooms. So when we have the story polls, if you'd be so kind to invite us over so we could actually see the view from your living room, that'd be great.
Meaning protected views are protected for?
The zoning says family rooms and living rooms. So it's not kitchens, not dining rooms.
We should open up the public hearing if we're going to have some additional comments, if the chair wishes to do so.
Okay. Okay. Do we have any other comments? No? Okay. You're more than welcome to issue further public comment as the project's going to keep moving forward. Okay, so why don't we do this? I'm going to open the public hearing, so you can go ahead and come forward. Yeah, no worries.
I sent in an email and I attached photos. So this is what was confusing, is that nothing was sent in and you would have those photos. So
Oh, no, we have them.
No, we have the photos, but what we're
Got it.
we're going to have
Yeah.
story polls, and we'd like to see the story polls from your perspective.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay. Do we have any other members? Oh, Tim.
Just because it's open, I gotta get my last word in. Thank you, Chris, for bringing that up. I want to read the code. We'll put it in our response letter. That's very important. And, you know, we're going to look into other options as well. Story polls will go up. And yeah, it's very important that you get the whole story and being on site. You know, this is important for him and for us. I'd like to, you know, I'd like it to be per the letter of the law. So thank you for bringing that up.
Any other members of the public wish to speak? No? Okay, so I'm going to close the public hearing again. Commissioners, any additional comments? Commissioner Say.
Yeah, I think I struggle with kind of the language of how that's written. I've always kind of looked at it from, and it certainly is unique to every home's views and the floor plans of each homes and what they're seeing. But when I think of living rooms, I think of dining rooms as part of that, just kind of the entertainment spaces, not necessarily a bathroom or a private bedroom, but the spaces one would entertain and live in. So that's why I see it as dining rooms would be included. But that depends on, I know we have a photo here and it looks like the dining room window is huge and looking out towards the bay. I think we would have to see once those story poles are up and just kind of enter the home and just kind of understand that layout. I don't know if staff has anything to add to that, but that's kind of how I've interpreted living rooms.
Yeah, and you should read it because it doesn't allow for interpretation. It doesn't use, for example, it actually names living room, family room. They might want to reword it in the future, but that's how it's.
Yeah.
current.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, that is a little confusing because nowadays, I don't know if that's the case in what we're talking about now, but there's a lot of combining, right?
Mhm.
Open floor plan, so kind of could be any of those too.
Yeah.
I thought it just mainly meant no office, that's the way so anyway.
And we can certainly provide a little more clarification in the next staff report to make sure we put in there exactly what can and can't be considered.
But it does not say bedroom, correct?
Correct.
Does not say bedrooms.
That's an important distinction, is that bedrooms do
Yeah.
not count and,
Yeah.
and bathrooms and things like that.
I will say at this commission in the past has rejected a project because there was a tiny bit of view from one's corner office window upstairs. And that was like a bedroom being used as an office. And so that's what my understanding of the language has transferred into other rooms. So not
through-
and bedrooms and things like that. But
Through the chair, we did have a code change in January of 2022, and this language was revised. So as the city attorney is saying, we can get back to you with more details.
that'd be great. Thanks.
Any other comments on project?
Just that I agree with my fellow commissioners. I'm not quite as opposed to the aesthetics of the design because the nature of the ranch houses in this area are so much more extreme than the ones we've seen in other areas. They're almost all basically split level. So I'm not quite as opposed to what in an elevation looks like the 3-story massing because it's only going to look that way from a very specific angle. I do think a little bit more work could be done to make especially the front facade look a little bit less blocky. I think the right cladding has been chosen so far, so maybe just some more details or moving some stuff around. I'm not quite sure, but on the whole, agree with my commissioners.
Yeah, lastly, I would just say that I don't have as much of an issue with the design itself. I don't disagree with what my commissioners have said. I think if we can go a little laterally with the design as opposed to vertically, we're at 31.5 feet, I believe, from the lower grade. Maybe we can somehow get a little closer to, 27, 28 might be easier for the other neighbors. I'm also against the idea of handcuffing an entire neighborhood because that just hurts your property values. So I think there's got to be a middle ground and, I wouldn't put a dead end here of doing a second story, that's for sure. So I think there can be work done. I do think there's a middle ground. So I'm excited to see the story polls and see what we can go with that.
Agreed, agree with everyone. I just thought of something else too. Was perhaps something that would be helpful to help get all these parts together might be to consider that first floor being stuccoed and to pull it together with the stucco and the rest. So, and then above your wood. It's just a thought, but
Maybe a break in materials to kind of
yeah, break in material.
increase the horizontal element as opposed to the vertical element. And I wanted to say I agree with the chair too about not handcuffing the neighborhood and not being able to add second stories where you can, because driving along that street, it seems that really nobody is affected by, because of kind of the low grade of the slope of the street. And then there is a sudden kind of drop right around 15, 19, 17, that, there, and I think there are some other second stories anyway on the other side of the street. But if there are, second stories that don't block, views, distant bay views per our letter of the law, then I think that it should be allowed.
I would just say that I do appreciate the attempt to remodel as opposed to rebuild. I do think that's a nice thing to do. And I think the neighbors would also appreciate that as far as length of construction and change to the natural state of the hill. Okay, so then we need a motion to move this forward with story polls into action. Anybody?
Are you making a motion? Then should I just accept your motion?
Well, as a chair, I guess I could make a motion to move this into action with after story polls have been constructed.
I'll second your motion.
Okay, so motion by myself, the chair, Lowenthal, seconded by Commissioner Camarado. Any other discussion? Okay, we have a roll call vote, please.
Staff, planning staff can discuss that with you. Yeah.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Camerado,
Aye.
Commissioner Foth,
Aye.
Commissioner Shores,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Haran,
Aye.
and Chair Lowenthal.
Aye. Motion passes 6001, and this action is not appealable. Thank you very much. That concludes agenda item number 10. On to agenda item number 11, commissioner reports. Do we have any commissioners' reports this evening? Nothing to report. Okay. Agenda item number 12, director reports.
I don't have anything either, so nothing to report from the September 3rd council meeting.
I see. Okay. And do we have any other future agenda items? No, not this evening. Okay.
Just a reminder about the commissioners' dinner on Friday night at Benihana.
We will not forget.
Oh.
All right. Well, then I will adjourn this meeting at 7:53 p.m. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Are we going to sit by commission at these tables?
I'm really
And Benny,
interested
how are-
how they're going to do it.
Right? Because it's
Yeah.
like tables of 8 or
They're
12 or whatever it is.
Specific limited tables, yeah.
I can't leave it open to the public. It'll be so. It's us.
Yeah.